I'd forgotten all about this one. I got this email from the American Mathematical Society back in June. I was just starting out with my channel, and so I had planned to do a video on this one, and then I just got distracted, I guess. Forgot. And for some reason, I don't even know why, but I went back and thought about this and thought, I should read this out to my community. Again, the American Mathematical Society. These are mostly people with PhDs in mathematics and such, and they're supposed to be the elite, the brilliant thinkers, the critical thinkers. So let's see how they do. And this is a message from AMS President Jill Pfeiffer, an idiot, and you'll see why. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
Okay, so let's see how old Jill Pfeiffer does on this. Dear member of the mathematical community, I write with a combination of deep sadness and horror. Oh, come on. As we cope with the death of another black person in a racial incident involving police. We are also experiencing the devastating burst of outrage that has followed. Well, it's not just outrage. It's like a lot of looting, beatings, arson. The death last week of George Floyd in police custody in Minneapolis came shortly after the shock of the killings of Ahmaud Arbery in Glynn County, Georgia, on February 23rd, and Breonna Taylor in Louisville. Well, wait a minute here. Let's go back. She says, as we cope with the death of another black person in a racial incident involving police. What does Ahmaud Arbery have to do with the police? What was the criticism? The Carmichaels were supposed to have called the police. The police were not involved. That's what everybody's complaining about. And yet here she is blaming the police for that. And while I agree that Breonna Taylor in Louisville was very unfortunate, I don't see any evidence that this was a racial incident. And if you disagree, go to my video where I describe the killings in Houston during a no-knock warrant in a situation that was very similar to Breonna Taylor, except it was even worse. The victims were a white couple, the perpetrators, 2 black officers. This is not a racial thing. Tragically, these were not isolated events. Now remember, let's go back. We're talking about racial incidences involving police. The loss of Michael Brown, he attacked a police officer. Of that, there is no doubt. The whole thing about I have my hands up and he was shot execution style was a lie. It was a lie perpetrated by his friend and repeated by people who only came to that conclusion because they heard it from others. Many of them admitted they lied about the whole thing. Others completely changed their story. The grand jury looked at this and said, everyone, and I mean everyone that is claiming that they saw the officer at fault were either lying or had huge holes in their arguments. Many of them even refused to go to the grand jury because guess what? You'd have to go under oath and face perjury. However, there were plenty of witnesses that were there, that were black, and who claimed, guess what? The police officer was in the right. Michael Brown attacked the police officer. And the story that was made up about him having his hands up and shot execution style is false. But that's okay. We'll just go ahead and use Michael Brown anyway. There's no need for the American Mathematical Society to investigate or research anything. No, whatever the mob says must be true. Now let's move on. The loss of Michael Brown. Sandra Bland. Okay, now look, I agree. The police officer was a bit of a jackass that day. So was she. That escalated when it didn't have to. She should have cooperated. He shouldn't have been such a jerk. She ended up in jail, probably unfairly. However, the police officer did not kill her. No police officer killed her. She committed suicide. There's no doubt about it. It's inconceivable that somebody could have got into her cell and killed her without leaving the evidence behind. We have video recordings of that night. Nobody got in there. It would have been impossible to go in there and kill her without other people knowing about it. She committed suicide. It's unfortunate, but she did. Eric Garner, Oscar Grant, Freddie Gray, Trayvon Martin. So his death is getting blamed on the police too. George Zimmerman, who killed him, we know that, even George Zimmerman admits that, was not a police officer. In fact, what was the criticism? He wasn't supposed to be acting like a cop. He was supposed to let the cops handle it. He went, followed Trayvon Martin. We don't know what happened. However, whatever is the case, we know one thing: it wasn't the police's fault. But that's okay. The American Mathematical Society could go ahead and blame the police anyway. And the innumerable other black lives before them compel us to condemn the systemic racism that is destroying people and poisoning our society. No, what's poisoning our society are dumb shits like Jill Pfeiffer, who go in here, repeat stuff, don't do any investigation. Even a cursory investigation would have revealed that Trayvon Martin shouldn't be on this list, or Ahmaud Arbery. But she can't be bothered with that. This is character assassination. And the character assassination is being inflicted on the police. The American Mathematical Society is anti-police. They hate cops. It's right here. They're saying it. And even in incidences that don't involve the police, they're blaming the police anyway. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.